The ending of Foundation, Season 3 Episode 5, wasn't just another cliffhanger. It was a warning. A quiet, calculated message buried under layers of politics, betrayal, and destiny. In the final moments, a single choice set off a chain of events that could topple empires, reshape the future, and rewrite the very purpose of the Foundation itself. But what really happened in those last few minutes? And why does it change everything we thought we knew? Let's break it all down. Before we unpack the ending, we need to rewind and trace the steps that led us there. Episode 5 was a game of shifting power, where every character moved like a piece on a cosmic chessboard. On Trantor. The cracks in the Cleon dynasty widened. Brother Day continued his dangerous dance with the outer worlds, trying to assert dominance but also showing signs of uncertainty. His calculated charm felt thinner this time, like a mask starting to slip. The political court was tense, whispers of rebellion growing louder. Behind the scenes, Brother Dawn's subtle disagreements with Day began to matter more. It's no longer just sibling rivalry, it's ideology versus survival. Meanwhile, on Terminus, the Foundation found itself torn between Hari Seldon's grand vision and the messy reality of survival. Polly and Constance's faith-driven mission hit new complications as the people they were trying to lead began questioning not only their choices but the very legitimacy of Seldon's plan. The tension between science and belief became more than a philosophical debate, it became a matter of life and death. Far from both. Gaal and Salver wrestled with a different kind of burden. The looming shadow of the Mule haunted every decision they made. Gaal's visions of possible futures were becoming sharper, more terrifying. She could feel the pull of inevitability, the sense that no matter what path they chose, a confrontation with the Mule was coming. Salver's frustration grew with each passing hour, especially as Gaal kept parts of her visions to herself. There's an unspoken truth forming between them. Trust is essential, but fear makes people hold back. Episode 5 wove these threads together slowly, but with purpose. We saw small moments that didn't seem important at first, a line of dialogue here, a glance there, but they built toward a pattern. An incoming storm of betrayal, ambition, and prophecy. By the time we reached the final sequence, all these threads collided. Every tension that had been simmering boiled over. This careful buildup is what made the ending hit so hard. It wasn't just about one shocking event, it was about everything that led to it. The politics on Trantor, the doubt on Terminus, and the visions haunting Gaal all came crashing into the same point, setting the stage for a choice that could shatter the balance of power in the galaxy. The final scene of Foundation, Season 3 Episode 5 is quiet, at first eerily quiet. No dramatic score, no massive explosion, just a stillness that feels unnatural, like the galaxy itself is holding its breath. We're in a dimly lit chamber, shadows stretching across the walls like the fingers of something unseen. The camera lingers, letting us soak in the unease before anything happens. Brother Day steps forward, alone this time. His usual entourage is missing, and that in itself feels wrong. He moves slowly, almost cautiously, as if even he's unsure about what's waiting ahead. Then we see it across the room, a sealed data capsule resting on an ornate pedestal. It's an object we haven't seen before in this season, but the way the camera treats it tells us it's important. Day reaches out, hesitates, then opens it. Inside. There's no weapon, no treasure, just a message. A simple holographic projection flickers to life, and there she is, Gaal Dornick. But it's not the Gaal of the present tense, a recorded message, her voice calm but loaded with urgency. She warns of a future that is already in motion. A timeline where the Empire crumbles not from an external war, but from a rot within. She speaks of a betrayal that will come from inside the Cleon line itself. And then, almost as an afterthought, she mentions the Mule. Not as a distant threat, but as someone already moving pieces into place. The expression on Day's face shifts just slightly, but enough for us to see it. It's the look of a man who's realized two things at once, that the enemy is already in his house, and that the prophecy might be true. He doesn't smash the capsule. He doesn't call for guards. Instead, he closes it gently, almost protectively, as if keeping this knowledge close will somehow give him control. And then the turn. The camera cuts to Brother Dawn, standing in the shadows of an adjacent hallway, having watched the entire thing. His face is unreadable, but his presence here means everything. Was he following Day? Was he meant to see this? Or was this part of someone else's plan entirely? The scene ends not with words, but with a look. Dawn and Day lock eyes for the briefest moment, two men from the same genetic line, but possibly, standing on opposite sides of the future. The screen cuts to black before either of them moves, leaving us with 1,000 questions. This ending isn't loud or flashy, it's precise. It's a controlled detonation, the kind that doesn't blow up the building immediately but sends cracks through the foundation until it all comes down. It's also a turning point. From this moment on, every choice Day and Dawn make will carry the weight of what they've just seen, and by extension, what we've just seen. At first glance, the ending scene feels straightforward. Day finds a message, Dawn witnesses it, tension brews. But Foundation is never that simple. The show loves to hide meaning in small details, backgrounds, props, lighting that quietly tell a second story. In this case, Episode 5's final moments are loaded with signals that hint at the future. First, the lighting. Notice how the chamber is bathed in an amber gold glow, but the light fades into shadow on the edges. In cinematography, gold often symbolizes power and authority, but here it feels dim, as if that power is fading. The shadows creeping into the frame aren't just aesthetic, they're foreshadowing the encroaching threat of betrayal within the Cleon line. The contrast between light and dark here mirrors the tension between Day and Dawn, two versions of the same man, each walking toward a different destiny. Next, the data capsule design. If you freeze frame when Day opens it, the surface markings are not random. They resemble the mathematical waveforms we've seen before in Hari Seldon's psychohistory visualizations. This could be a sly visual link suggesting the capsule is part of Seldon's contingency plan, a breadcrumb he left in the galaxy to steer events back toward the predicted path. It's a subtle way of saying, even when Hari isn't present, his influence still shapes the game. Then there's Gaal's recorded message. The delivery feels intentional. She isn't panicked, she's measured, almost resigned. This tone suggests she knows the timeline she's warning about might already be unavoidable. Even more interesting is her choice of words. The Empire will fall from within. In the books, the fall of the Empire was inevitable. But the internal collapse, rather than external conquest, was the slow-burning fuse. Here, the writers seem to be nodding to that idea, while layering in a new twist with the Mule's involvement. 1. Of the most overlooked details is Dawn's positioning. He's standing in the shadow of a column, only partially visible, but the light catches one side of his face. This half-lit image is a classic visual metaphor for someone caught between two choices, light and dark, loyalty and rebellion. It's not an accident. The director is visually telling us Dawn hasn't chosen a side yet, but he's closer to making that decision than ever. Finally, the absence of music. Foundation usually uses a lush, orchestral score to heighten emotion, but here, the silence is deafening. When you strip away the score, you force the audience to sit in the tension of the moment. It's as if the scene is saying, the galaxy just shifted, but the characters are the only ones who know it, at least for now. This choice also leaves space for the viewer's mind to run wild, imagining the implications of what they've just seen. In short, the ending isn't just a plot development, it's a coded message. The lighting warns of fading power. The capsule hints at Seldon's unseen hand. Gaal's tone suggests inevitability. Dawn's half-lit face shows his inner conflict, and the silence tells us this is the calm before the storm. It's the kind of scene you need to watch twice. Because the first time you're caught in the tension, and the second time you realize every frame was carefully designed to whisper clues about what's coming. Now that we've unpacked the clues, let's talk about what they could actually mean for the future of Season 3. Foundation is a show where every tiny decision ripples outward, and the ending of Episode 5 is like dropping a stone into a still pond. The waves are coming, and they're going to hit hard. Here are 3 major theories that make sense based on what we've just seen. Theory 1, the Cleon Civil War begins. The most direct reading of this ending is that we've just witnessed the first step toward a civil war. Inside the Empire, Day's choice to keep Gaal's warning to himself, and Dawn's decision to secretly witness it sets up a perfect storm. If Dawn believes Day is hiding a galaxy-shaking truth, he may start building alliances against him. And remember, brother, Dusk has been quietly maneuvering in the background all season. If Dawn aligns with him, the genetic dynasty could split into 2 factions, each convinced they are protecting the future. This wouldn't just weaken the Empire, it would accelerate its collapse in a way Seldon's plan may have predicted all along. Theory 2 Gaal's message is a Seldon trap *. We've seen before that Hari Seldon plays the long game better than anyone. And nothing in Foundation happens without purpose. What if the message they found wasn't truly from Gaal, but was engineered by Hari, or even a version of Hari to push the Cleons toward a specific outcome? The capsule's strange markings suggest a psychohistory link, which could mean this warning was designed to be found by Day at precisely this moment. If that's the case, the betrayal from within line might not be a prediction, it might be the spark Hari needed to make sure the internal collapse actually happens. Theory 3 The Mule is already inside the Empire. The most chilling possibility comes from the way Gaal mentions the Mule not as a looming danger, but as someone already moving in the shadows. What if the Mule has infiltrated the Empire's highest ranks? We know his abilities allow him to manipulate minds, bending people to his will without them even realizing it. If that's true, then the betrayal from within could be literal. Someone in the Cleon line may already be under his control. This would explain why Day's behavior has been increasingly erratic this season and why Dawn has been more observant than usual. The war for the galaxy might already be happening, and the Cleons are fighting an enemy they can't even see. Episode 5's ending wasn't a small turn in the story, it was the hinge on which the rest of the season might swing, whether it's civil war, a Seldon-engineered collapse, or a Mule infiltration. The galaxy is about to enter a period of instability unlike anything we've seen so far. And the beauty of Foundation is that it never tells you outright which path you're on. You have to watch, decode, and guess. Just like the characters. Episode 6 could give us answers, or it could deepen the mystery. But one thing is certain: the moment that capsule opened, the future of the Empire changed forever. To understand why Episode 5's ending feels so heavy, you have to look beyond the episode itself and into the DNA of the Foundation saga. In Isaac Asimov's books, the fall of the Galactic Empire is never about one battle, one enemy, or one single betrayal. It's about the inevitable decay of systems that seem too big to fail. Psychohistory predicts that empires don't collapse because of an outside force, but because the rot within eventually becomes too deep to repair. The show's final scene this week is a direct nod to that core concept. The phrase Gaal uses, "the Empire will fall from within," isn't just poetic. In the novels, this idea is baked into Hari Seldon's plan from the very beginning. The Empire's centralized control, its reliance on a stagnant ruling elite, and its inability to adapt to change are the slow-burning fuse. By showing Day receive this message, and Dawn quietly witnessing it, the series is giving us a visual dramatization of the kind of internal fracture Asimov often described in political terms. This is the first time in the TV adaptation we've seen that fracture so clearly embodied in the Cleon dynasty itself. There's also a fascinating connection to the Mule. In the books, the Mule's rise is one of the most disruptive events in Seldon's plan because he's not a predictable variable, he's an anomaly, a mutation in the equation. His ability to bend people's loyalty through emotional manipulation is exactly the kind of wildcard psychohistory can't account for. In Asimov's version, the Mule emerges outside the Empire and moves inward, destabilizing it from the edges. The show, however, is hinting at a bolder twist, that the Mule might already have agents or even direct influence inside the Empire before his full reveal. That's a major deviation. And it adds a layer of paranoia the books never leaned on this early. The data capsule itself also feels like a TV invention that draws inspiration from the novel's use of Seldon crises. In the books, Seldon appears via pre-recorded holographic messages at key points in history to guide the Foundation through moments of chaos. This scene mirrors that structure, but with a twist. The message isn't from Hari, it's from Gaal. In the books, Gaal never serves as the voice of warning on this scale. This is a narrative shift that elevates her role from a passive observer of Seldon's plan to an active player who can alter it. That's a huge divergence from Asimov's original framework. Even the way Dawn is positioned in this ending ties back to Foundation lore. In the books, there's no genetic dynasty of cloned rulers. This was an invention for the show, but the idea of succession crises and ideological splits in leadership is straight out of Asimov's political world-building. By giving us a literal clone family and showing them start to fracture, the adaptation turns a subtle political concept into an emotionally charged personal feud that's easier to follow on screen, while still keeping the spirit of the source material. So, while Episode 5's ending feels like a fresh twist for TV audiences, it's deeply rooted in Asimov's big-picture themes: inevitability, decay from within, and the unpredictable chaos of human nature. The changes the show makes shifting Gaal into a more central role, introducing the Cleon clones, and possibly bringing the Mule into play earlier are designed to give these ideas more drama and immediacy. The result is a moment that feels true to the books and spirit, while still surprising even the most dedicated fans. Asterisk, when you strip this episode down to its core, the ending of Foundation Season 3 Episode 5 isn't just about a secret message, or to Cleons, staring each other down. It's about the moment the cracks in the campfire stop being hairline fractures and start becoming fault lines. Day now holds knowledge that could destabilize the dynasty from within. And Dawn has seen enough to suspect that the future might not belong to the Empire at all. The brilliance of this scene is in its restraint. Nothing explodes, no one draws a weapon, but the tension is heavier than any battle sequence. It's the kind of storytelling that Foundation excels at, letting a single choice ripple outward until it changes everything. Whether this path leads to civil war, to Seldon's careful manipulations, or to the Mule already being among them, the message is clear. The balance of power has shifted, and there's no going back. Asterisk, we've connected the dots through hidden details, drawn possible futures from the clues, and tied it all back to Asimov's original themes. But now the real fun begins, guessing which path the show will take. Will Day try to keep control by silencing Dawn, or will Dawn move first? Is the warning from Gaal a genuine plea for help, or the first step in a much bigger plan? And the question that keeps nagging at me, if the Mule is already in play, who's the first major character to fall under his influence? Asterisk, whatever happens in Episode 6, this ending guarantees one thing: every move from here on out matters. In a galaxy this fragile, even a whisper can cause an earthquake. Asterisk, so now it's over to you. What do you think Gaal's real motive was in sending that message? Do you believe the Mule is already inside the Empire, or is this still a war on the horizon? Drop your theories in the comments, because the best part of Foundation isn't just watching it unfold, it's trying to predict the future before it arrives. Asterisk.